right, boys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I wanted to kind of talk about the importance of focusing on one skill and the importance of how to actually get fucking rich in 2026. Most people overthink this journey. They overthink the formula. Now, I want to start by saying the journey is never going to be easy, but the formula is fucking simple, and I'm going to break it down today. So, moving into this little mural board I have here, let's first talk about why 99% of entrepreneurs fail. So 99% of entrepreneurs fail because most think that if I work harder, I'll make more money. But that's not the reality of it. They end up trading their time for money. They say yes to everything. They never productize or systemize. They quit before the compounding starts. Well, doing all of these things leads to them quitting before the compounding ever starts, before they're actually able to build that momentum. They quit right before referrals start to kick in. They quit before they've built solid momentum and before they've become even a master at that skill set. Now, backtracking a little bit, what most people tend to do is they focus on learning way too many things instead of just hyper focusing on becoming a perfectionist and a master at one thing and using that one thing to make money, to print cash flow. So, 100% of failed entrepreneurs just didn't have the right system. They try to skip steps, but they don't focus on like the real evolution. So here's the formula. The formula is really, really fucking simple. You trade your time to learn a skill set that's valuable to other people, right? That's step number one. Step number two is you use that skill set that you've now learned to make money, to make cash flow. And you turn that money that you're making from your business, from your skill set, and you flow that into investments. That's how you're actually going to like get rich. So now moving forward, let's talk about comparing this kind of to another business model. Let's talk about drop shipping, right? Drop shipping versus learning one high income skill like freelance brand scaling that you can sell to other people who are already doing all of these things, right? So with something like drop shipping, right? It's requiring all these different skills that fall into building one business. So number one, you have product research. You have to spot demand before saturation. You have to identify emotional or problem solving products. And without this skill, everything else within the business model of dropshipping fails, right? So that's skill number one that's required in order to be a successful dropshipper. Number two is going to be market and customer psychology. So you have to understand why people buy, pain versus desire. You have to understand impulse triggers, objections, trust signals. That's skill number two. Skill number three is store building and UX. You have to understand how to build a website, Shopify setup, conversion optimization, how to actually build a website that's optimized for conversions and actually optimized to get people to buy. And you have to understand trust elements, reviews, policies, brandings. You need to know how to do all of these different things. That's skill number three, right? Now, copywriting. This is like a critical revenue skill in almost any business because you need to know how to properly list products, properly how to list headlines of ads, etc. So this is required in a lot of different business models, but specifically in all areas of dropshipping, because not only are you going to be writing product descriptions across your websites, but you're also going to be writing headlines for your ads. You're going to be writing ad copy, and bad copy is going to lead to a paid traffic loss. So that was what, skill number four. Moving on to skill number five. You need to know paid advertising. You need to know how to run ads on platforms like Meta, Google, TikTok. And if you don't, you're not going to make any fucking money because that's where all the traffic is going to come from. That's how the business gets its traffic. And you turn that traffic into customers by doing all of these other things, right? So that's where 90% of the money is either made or lost. Now, moving forward, we have creative strategy and content. You need to be able to identify winning ad angles as well as analyze why ads win or fail. Next, supplier and fulfillment management. We're getting into like the most headache fucking things now. I remember when I ran my clothing brand back in 2022, 2023, I had to deal with all these Pakistan fucking manufacturers. And one of those manufacturers ended up scamming me for $60,000. So that right there in itself is like, bro, the lowest frequency work possible. So you got to learn how to vet good suppliers, deal with quality control, deal with the communication barriers, because none of these dudes are ever from the US. They're from China, they're from Pakistan, they're from Japan, they're from anywhere that doesn't speak fucking English. So you have to deal with that bullshit. Now you have to deal with customer support and reputation management. Usually this is something that's pretty easy to outsource, right? You give it to a VA who usually also doesn't speak English, but you still have to deal with the headaches of refunds, chargebacks, angry customers, delivery issues, like the lowest frequency work that's gonna just fuck you up mentally and lead to you never like being able to do work efficiently because you have to deal with so much bullshit. Now, not only talking about all the skills that are required for a business model like dropshipping, right? We just went over all these different skills that are required. But moving into some of the costs that are required in dropshipping or really any business model, because majority of business models, you have to risk upfront capital. You have to learn all these different skill sets. You have to do so many things before you can ever be of value and ever actually start making money with it. So some of the costs in a business model like dropshipping, you have ad spend, you have creative production, you have product costs, you have refunds, chargebacks, losses, payment processing fees, supplier and agent fees, branding and legal, education and tools. Now, here's where this really comes into play. Majority of these drop shippers, these business owners, these brand owners, they have all of these skills, right? They're a successful dropshipper, their store's performing well, but they tend to outsource a lot of these different things to different people. So, what if instead of running our own store and focusing on trying to become a master at all these different things, as well as putting all of our own money into all of these costs, we just did one of these things, one of these skills? Like, for example, we took paid advertising and we just simply became a perfectionist at one simple skill. Now, even talking about the skill of paid advertising, why is my pen not working? Come on. All right. Even talking about the skill of just paid advertising, right? Majority of drop shippers or brand owners or business owners tend to outsource this, right? Because this is a skill set that can easily be delegated out. They tend to pay other people to do paid advertising for them because they either don't know how to do it themselves, they're so busy dealing with all this other bullshit, or they're simply coming up with new products. They're designing new products, they're building new websites, they're writing copy, they're dealing with suppliers, they're dealing with customers. So, what if you just took one of these skills and you became a master at it and you sold it to people who are trying to do all of this to make their life easier? Now, the reason they're so willing to pay to have people do this for them is because they're so busy trying to do all of these different skills. So they're very willing to just take some more overhead cost and just pay someone else to do it for them, especially if you can do it better than they can. Now, a lot of these business owners tend to overlook this and they think that it's harder to learn than it is. But in reality, it's not. The reason they do that is because they're so caught up doing all of these things, trying to be a master at all these skills, dealing with all these costs, trying to design new products, trying to, let's just talk about clothing, for example, right? Like that's where a majority of my clients are, clothing brands, okay? Now, majority of these clothing brands, their biggest bottleneck in their brand is products, right? So they're constantly trying to create new winning products because they're continuously dropping new products, right? So they're trying to make new winning ones. They're dealing with customers, they're fulfilling orders. They have so many other things on their plate that they don't have the time to focus on this. So they outsource this to someone who can do it for them. That's why businesses are so willing to pay me $5, $10, $20,000 a month, even more, to just do this for them. Now, obviously, when I'm doing paid advertising, I'm also doing things like creative strategy and content. Like I'm finding winning creatives, I'm feeding that information back to them. I'm also writing copy for things like headlines and ad copy, not product descriptions, but I'm doing these micro things for them within their ads. So I'm really only focusing on 3 of these skills. We could really count these as each like 0.5 because I'm not doing all of it. So let's count this as I'm doing 2 skills instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm doing 2 skills instead of doing 8. Now, considering I only have 2 skills to focus on, I can become much better at them and I can become much more valuable to these other businesses because I'm a perfectionist at these 2 skills, right? And that's why they're willing to pay so much money to someone who can do these things for them, is because they know that other person can do it better than them. So, the truth most people won't admit, dropshipping is not passive income. You're basically running a marketing company already, but you're also having to do all of these other tasks in order for the business to succeed. Again, going back to the formula, it's very fucking simple. You trade your time to learn a high income skill. You trade your high income skill for money. You use that cash flow, put that cash flow into investments, and you get rich as fuck. It's that fucking simple. Now, again, I want to emphasize, I'm not saying the journey of learning these three things is going to be easy, and it's going to be easy necessarily to sign clients from the start. It's going to be easy to get them profitable ads from the start. But what I'm saying is the formula is simple. If you just stay consistent doing these things, and most of you quit before you even get to step 2. So you're here, you're at step 1, and you quit before you even get to step 2 because you didn't give yourself enough time to learn a high income skill. So if we go back to this original chart, why 99% of entrepreneurs fail, let's go through this again. Most think if I work harder, I'll make more. Boom, that's right here. If I work harder, if I do all of these things, I'll make more money. No, you can make more money doing this because you can have multiple clients. Let's say one client pays you $10,000 a month. 2 clients pays you $20,000 a month. 3 clients pays you 30, so on and so forth. But let's say you're running your own store. To even be profitable doing this, you have so many costs. You're going to have to make $20,000 a month with the amount of other overhead costs you have. You're going to be nearing having to do like 80 grand in revenue just to make 20K profit. So you have to deal with 80K worth of orders to make 20K profit. But if I'm simply just delivering this skill set to these businesses, I can just get paid 10K retainers all fucking day long. So again, going back to this, most people think if I work harder, I'll make more. They're trying to do all these skills. They're not making more money because they're focused on doing too many things. They trade their time for money. They're trading their time trying to do all of these different things for money when that doesn't happen. They say yes to everything. They try to do all of these skills themselves, but they can't do it all. They never productize or systemize. They never actually implement the product or the proper formula for all of these things. Now moving into the next. They quit before the compounding starts. That's down here. Now we're relating down to this chart. You quit before you actually become good at this high income skill. You never give yourself the time to become good enough. Once you become good enough, all you have to do is trade that high income skill for money. And then you take that money and you put that into investments. It's that simple. Now, they quit before they've built solid momentum. And they also before they've become a master at their skill set. All my points literally proven within this whole chart. In a, what is this, 12-minute and 46-second video, one take. 100% of failed entrepreneurs just didn't have the right system. I just gave you the system. This is the system. And it's literally that fucking simple. It's just a matter of consistency at that point. I literally just broke down the entire system to you and explained to you how simple the formula is. Now all it takes for you is simply just consistency. You stay here for a while, you don't see the results you want to see, but eventually you start to become a perfectionist at that skill set and you easily move on to step 2. Then everything from there is easy. You now have a clear path of what you need to do on a daily basis in order to continue to print that money from your skill set. And you use that money, you put that into investments that make money for you, and that's how you actually get rich as fuck. It's that simple. So, if you're interested in learning more about how to become a perfectionist at this skill set, as well as how to sign your first client, all you need to do is go to the link in the description, the top link. I'm hosting a brand scaling bootcamp from February 2nd to 6th. You guys already know about this, but I'm going to literally start over from zero, sign my first client, run ads for that client, and then teach you how to scale off of that first client. So it's literally the whole step formula. I'm starting over from zero. I'm not allowed to use any sort of personal brand I have. I'm not allowed to use any current connections I have, any sort of relationships I currently have. I'm starting over from zero. I'm going to find my first client. I'm going to pitch my first client. I'm going to close my first client. I'm going to run ads for my first client, and then I'm going to scale off of that, all within 5 days over a live stream. Tickets are $47. That's it. 47. They're linked, top link in the description. And if you're interested in applying for the ERT, that is also linked in the description. But make sure to subscribe. We're coming up on 100K subs. So click that subscribe button, turn post notifications on for more valuable videos like this. trying to get y'all all rich as fuck. So subscribe, like, comment down below what other types of videos you guys want to see. Buy your ticket for the boot camp February 2nd through 6th, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I love y'all, and peace out.